Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so asleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. Bonito, cheap, keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I blow soon, soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my broom, vroom. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in a room. I been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I got a gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me and Dan, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lawyer, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't belabor like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low, but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I was soon, soon. Knew as a child, back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my broom, vroom. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are doubting, I dare the show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shooting this breaks, I'm going in a new gear, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going. Hey, just how I'm doing this shit that I'm going.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. On the road, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Campbell's live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I forgot who. I don't remember who put it in chat, but somebody said, "What is going on, everybody?" But welcome in, Mafia. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out here with us on this beautiful Friday evening as Bitcoin gets the rejection almost perfectly from the anchored VWAP from the all-time high, guys. We were looking for that money or that green dot with the money flow coming up on the 4-hour time frame, looking for that continuation up. We were looking at that green dot as the thing that might be able to put that higher high in, and we did get it, guys, but we did get that rejection from the anchored VWAP. So what is coming next here on Bitcoin, guys? Are we going to go sweep the lows at 107K? Are we going to be able to hold support? I'm going to break down some local levels of support and resistance for you guys and let you know what I'm going to be expecting here on price action next. Market cipher is a little bit chopped up here, guys, so direction is a little bit hard to call here, but I'm going to break it down as simply as possible. And yes, I did get stopped out of my short position yesterday, of course. in profit. So made some money on that position. I am still holding my long here. But yeah, I'm going to go over kind of my plan here. What am I expecting next on Bitcoin? And a quick announcement here, guys. I actually do have to go to my niece's first birthday party. So I do have to hop out of here early, so I'm going to try to run for like an hour, and then I do have quite a drive to do. So I do have to hop out of here, but honestly, there's not a ton to update here as Bitcoin chops around. But I want to give you guys some new key levels that I'm looking at and the most likely scenarios. And really what I want to take a look at are the key levels to the upside, the doorways to higher prices, and then as well as what I'm going to be looking for if we are going to go sweep those lows where we know we have liquidity below $107,000. I want to talk about a local line in the sand where I will be anticipating that to be the case. So are we going to pump or are we going to send it to Goblin Town, guys? That is the question I'm going to try to answer here for you guys on tonight's live stream. But shout out to the Mafia. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. Mountain Magnet said, oh, there it is. 3-hour live stream it is. Shout out to Mountain Magnets. Yeah, this might be like one of the very, very rare times, guys, where I'm actually going to scoot out of here. I'm going to try to do it like abruptly because I start rambling. Once I open this big Italian mouth, it doesn't close. But shout out to Mountain Magnets. Welcome in, bro. We got New Earth Guardian in the chat. We got Panda, the Prophet. What is going on, bro? Great training session at McDonald's with you last night, bro. If you guys don't know, me and Panda Prophet, Bitcoin pulling back here. We did. We had to get those McDonald's applications out, and me and Panda Prophet are at the same location. So shout out to Panda. Welcome in, bro. We got Perry in the chat. Said salute, Frankie. Shout out to you, Perry. Welcome in. We got Low-key Feta in the chat said, I'm grabbing snacks. I'm about to be, it's about to be a short stream. But yeah, without further ado, guys, I'm going to jump right in here because we got not a lot of time and a whole lot to cover. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, guys, here we are. Bitcoin going to zero here. I'm just kidding. But obviously, as you guys know, yesterday, just to recap kind of what we saw happen over here, locally, right? Look at this. This pesky anchored VWAP from the all-time high decided to slap us to the downside. And we talked about, the idea of potentially putting in a higher low here for a higher high to come in based off of some very, very, very specific signals that we had here on Market Cypher B. Number one was going to be that 4-hour green dot. And why did I anticipate that 4-hour green dot to potentially give us the higher low and the higher high, or more specifically, the higher high on price action, breaking structure to the upside? Well, big reason there, guys. 4-hour green dot. This momentum wave just looked like it might put in a lower high. And when you put these lower highs in on your momentum waves, what are we looking for, guys? Well, it could form a bearish divergence. And, when you could front run this, obviously yesterday on the live stream, we were, somewhere like right here, right? It looked like we were going to get that green dot. And as we were bouncing off of a local golden pocket retracement here, I mean, hey, low, high, higher, low, higher, high, or is in the cards, right? And when you have that green dot about to print, it's like, well, hey, we have the higher low coming in. We're holding the golden pocket. And, the full golden pocket was actually front run by just a couple pennies there. But when you're holding these key levels, guys, and you have the money flow still in the green on the 4-hour, it does give you the idea that you could potentially continue the local trend to the upside, which would make you anticipate a crack of structure to the upside. And, when we look at this, it's like, well, hey, this green dot prints, this momentum wave might be able to give you a lower high, which give you a bearish divergence. And what does that bearish divergence call for? It calls for a higher high to come in on your price action, right? Where we would be looking for price to come into our next key levels of key levels of key resistance, because key levels are key, which is sitting, the major zone still sits between $114,000 and $115,000. I'll just pull up the purple box here. You guys know, tons of confluence in here. We have the value area low. We have a daily MPOC, we have a weekly MPOC, we have a monthly MPOC, we have a monthly horizontal level, right? So major resistance still sitting up here between $114,000 and $115,700, right? This is still, in my opinion, the biggest line in the sand to get above before I start saying, hey, this is looking a little bit stronger now, and at that point, you can look for a push-up into the point of control. I'm going to get into this situation in just a second, but obviously what happened here, we said watch the green dot with that money flow coming up to put in that higher high to potentially form that bearish divergence. And what happens? We push up, and yesterday we were talking about how technically the zone does kind of bring us all the way down to this anchored VWAP sitting at $113,550. We didn't push into the bigger level of resistance, which still remains up here, right? But we did get that higher high to come in based off that bearish divergence. Just shows you how you can kind of call these moves to the upside by looking at those bearish confirmations, trying to front run them. And we did get that higher high, and we did get the 4-hour bearish divergence. And we did come in to almost perfectly tap that anchor VWAP, right? So not really surprising that you get the rejection here, but, would have been much nicer. I obviously was looking for this higher level to get hit for a new big short position, but we got that little pullback from the anchor VWAP. So nothing really too unexpected there, but nice that we were able to see that higher high incoming off that 4-hour green dot with money flow coming up in the anticipation of that bearish divergence. So just a little bit of sauce for the Mafia. Sometimes when you see those bearish divergences very likely to form, you can kind of try to front run that push above the high. So if you were here last night, you kind of see that play out. You can use this technique to kind of call if you're going to put in a higher high, especially when you have those key levels of resistance above. You can even be ready for that 4-hour bearish divergence to form at that key level, right? I did not take this short. I am still holding my long position from down here. Obviously, still nicely in profit there. And of course, guys, we get the rejection here. I got stopped out of my short position that I was holding that I showed last night in profit, right? So, took the trade up here, took some profit off the table, and then I did stop out in profit. So no big deal there, right? The beauty of managing your trades correctly, right? Even when you get stopped out, you can actually make some money. So I did get stopped out in profit there. So, and long continued to pay me out. But still looking at our biggest level of resistance up here between 114 and 115K. And this is kind of where things just get super repetitive, guys. At the end of the day, I'm going to cover some of the local levels down here and what I'm going to be looking at to anticipate the local price action. But at the end of the day, guys, for the bigger trades, I'm still waiting to either, right, we have the liquidations, right? Now we have new liquidity sitting below about $109,000, but the real big level of liquidity I am looking at is sitting between below about $107,000, right? So I have the long position here. I am looking at this as more of a swing trade. So if we do come back down, I am potentially going to look to add to that position in this area because we all know how important of a support level this $107,000 to $108,000 zone is, right? Talk about this every single live stream. I actually don't have it marked off on the chart here, unfortunately, but I think we all know, right? It's your macro value area high. It's your macro golden pocket pulled from 98,100 and 98,200 all the way to the all-time high. So you have your golden pocket, you have your value area low, you have the bull market support band, which is being held perfectly right now, which is nice to see at least as of right now, right? So I cannot stress again how key this level of support is, right? But when we understand that we do have liquidity sitting down here, if we did get another drop down, I would not be surprised if we sweep that low one more time, in which case I will simply add to my long position, and then hopefully we can get the bigger move to the upside. So, the bigger levels on the chart right now, guys, still remain the same. For the bigger long positions, I am waiting to come down here to see if we can sweep 107K, and also don't forget, as we just looked at on the heat map, also we have some liquidity now also sitting between below $109,000, right? So now the liquidity starts here and runs all the way down to about 107K. So we'll see what happens over the weekend, but I'm going to bring up some local levels here and what I'm going to be looking at to anticipate kind of the lower time frame price action and, the level that we must hold above if we want to see this continuation up. So if we continue to march to the upside, hey, it's all good. We're in the long position. I will look for shorts up there at 114 to 115K. If we do come back down, I'm just simply looking to add to my position down here. Now, once we lose about $116,000, well, let's see this, right? Yeah, I would say, once we lose about 116, because when we look at the liquidity, right? Liquidity runs all the way down to about 116,178. I really don't want to see, price breakdown below about $106,000, right? Did I say 116? $106,000. Once we start breaking, even 106.5, let me see this. Yeah, I mean, I really wouldn't even want to lose these lows here at about 106,400. So, once we start really hanging out down here and we can't get back above that golden pocket, if we come down here to sweep the liquidity, guys, I really want to see it be a quick wick, closure above, right? Above these lows, meaning, and then, get another rip to the upside. If we start, closing multiple candles down here, 4-hour candles, we can't get back above, in my opinion, right? Losing 106.4 to 106K is going to be kind of where I'll be looking to just cut that position and then just look down towards those lower levels, which I will cover very briefly with you guys. But, at the end of the day, this is the same plan I had yesterday, right? Just simply waiting here. Bitcoin just trying to march up, slam back down, tried to march up, slam back down. So we'll see, right? 4-hour money flow is still in the green. So, not impossible as long as that money flow stays in the green that we could continue the march to the upside. But this brings up our local levels. So we do have this volume profile here. Let me mark off the high, the POC, and the value area low, and I'll take off our macro levels of support here. I'll take off the bull market support band. So we are kind of just bing-bonging around in this range, and you could even arguably pull this back a little bit more. Yeah, I would say right here, right, $111,000. We got to get above this value area high, right? If we can get, because at this point, you look at this and it's like, all right, you rotate to the high, you're back in the range, you come back out. If we get stuck under this level, guys, and more specifically, if we lose this local 786, sitting at about $110,166, we start losing this, right? I have to think that the higher probability there is to get that full rotation down to our value area low, which would give us the sweep of the takeout of that liquidity about below about 109K. And, sure, this is a level of support. Could we look for long positions down there? Potentially. But, at this point, I'm just looking at these wicks just being like, I don't know. You got that liquidity sitting here. Makes me a little bit suspicious of a potential deviation below. And then this is where I'll be looking for those confirmations to potentially add to the trade, right? Because then we have this beautiful context of the volume profile, deviate below, looking for those bullish confirmations to add to the long trade, get back into the range, and then maybe we can send it back to the upside. So this volume profile does sit value area high at about $111,000. POC sitting at 108,349, value area low at $108,000, right? $107,990. Once we start losing that $107,000 level, we can't get back above. At this point, what's that next level we have to look down to? Well, we have a monthly, and is that a weekly? Monthly and a daily MPOC sitting down here towards 105K, which brings up our next major key level of support, right? I've talked about this so many times. Obviously, our major zone of support, golden pocket. Like, I really don't want to lose this, guys. If we lose this, that's kind of that first sign of weakness for me on Bitcoin, right? Like, this is a major level we want to hold above. If we break down below it, very naturally, I am just going to look down towards our 786 and that monthly and daily MPOC that I just brought up. Let me hide this anchored VWAP. At that point, right, we're back down below. Not only are we below the value area high at $110,000, but we're also losing that POC, which just makes that next very likely target the value area low of the range, sitting between $105,000 and about $104,000 towards that 786. This is still an area, guys. This is still an area where, technically you can put in a higher low to continue that bigger rip to the upside. But it's going to, if we come down there, it's going to have a lot to do with what market cipher B looks like if we have to get that bigger drop. Because, once you get into that 786, I know I've covered this so many times, but for anybody new here, once you get below that 786, you are potentially getting, you're already accepted inside your larger volume profile, which is why this golden pocket is the more important level in my opinion. Once we get sucked in here, you can look for that 786, but any bounces, you can look at the local volume profile to kind of give you the guide, like maybe you can get the bounce up to the POC, but when you pull up the larger range here, that value area high of the larger range sits right on that POC. So at that point, it's like, are you going to continue that lower high, lower low structure, which in my opinion, right, if you can't just send it off that 786, get it back above these key levels and Bitcoin's got to get going there, right? Like if we get down to that 786, Bitcoin has got to start moving, or we are in trouble, in my opinion, right? And hopefully there's something down there that changes my mind. But I would assume if we come down there, I'm gonna have a much more bearish sentiment. Right now, I'm still long-term bullish on Bitcoin, right? Like there's no reason, nothing is broken here. I still have my long-term bullish bias. But once you start playing around with that 786, it starts to get a little bit questionable. So all that really remains the same. Now, if we push to the upside, I hate to repeat myself, but 114, 115K is the big level. This is the biggest level of resistance to get above. In order for me to say that Bitcoin is seeing a sign of strength, that we could potentially continue up towards about $120,000. And maybe if we can get above that $120,000 value area high / macro 786, right? If we pull our fib from the high to the low, golden pocket 786. This is the doorway to higher prices, right? If you get above that 786 and you can hold, right, well, then you can start to look for potentially new all-time highs. But you got to get above this $114,000, $115,000 zone. This is the biggest level of resistance. Sure, you have confluence here on the POC. This is definitely going to be a key level as well. But in my opinion, this is the biggest level of resistance, right? Like this is really the level you want to get on top of. Could you get turbulence at the POC? Sure, but you are in a situation where you could just flip the value area low to support and continue up through the profile. Because once you get above that value area low, you have to think of the laws of the volume profile, right? You hold this as support, POC value area high. Value area high is going to be your final target within that profile. And, if you get the rejection off the POC, it's like, all right, that's resistance, right? It's still important. But all this crazy resistance that we have here could flip to support, right? So I'm going to be very careful if I do short up here at the POC for a potential higher low and then a higher high to continue up through that profile. Resistance, sure. This is in the $117,000 to $118,000 zone, and then the 786 sits up towards about $120,000 to $121,000. But this is really the significant level of resistance, right? Because at that point, you're just getting back within your balance, right? And then you could, it start to look a lot better for Bitcoin, in my opinion, at that point, right? But, we got to come up and play with this level. Other than that, right, like this, until we get up here, right, I am still very suspicious of lower highs and lower lows because when we take a look at our daily money flow, obviously this money flow is still attempting, right, it's trying to come back up. But until this crosses over in a big way, you have to be careful of like little fake outs into the green for a continuation and overall trend to the downside. So if we do get that push up there, we really want to see this money flow come up on the daily. The 12 and the 16-hour money flow has already tried to come into the green. So like I said, market cipher B is a little bit chopped up here. So, that doesn't matter, right? We don't have to know if we're going to come up or down first, right? I'm simply either waiting to come down here or come up here to make any big decisions, right? Other than like low time frame trades, these are the big levels to be looking at, in my opinion, right? Other than that, long-term sentiment remains the same until we break down below that 786. I am still long-term bullish on Bitcoin here, guys. Let's see. Short stream should be a good 4 hours. Shout out to Crypto Craze. Yeah, probably. If I had to guess, it'll probably be close to that. Actually, I really have to get off. I have to stay on time here, guys. We still got a bit of time left, though. I'm 1.5 cycles in, and I'm glad I took some profits, but let's go, baby. Hey, shout out to AP. Shout out to you, bro. If you're taking profits, bro, you were in the minority of most people in crypto. I'll tell you that much. Most people just hold those bags forever. So even if you take some profits and you continue up, right, like you made money, right? That is the whole reason I think a lot of people are here, right? Where, I support the decentralization. I believe in Bitcoin. I believe in crypto as a technology. But obviously, I think most people are here to make some money. And if you don't pay yourself, right, you're never going to make that money. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Sound said, tonight we're keeping Frankie to the clock due to his niece's first birthday, 45 minutes and counting. Wow. Hey, shout out. I literally have a timer going here. I have like a desk timer up here. Yeah, literally 45 minutes. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Sound. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you to the mods. Shout out to the mods in the chat, guys. Show the mods some love. Shout out to Scott Watson said, I really have to get off. Frankie Candles. Quote of the century. Let's see. Shout out to New Earth. Guardian says, bullish on Frankie Candles trading. Let's go. Shout out to New Earth. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. We do need to hold them to this one. Yeah, absolutely, guys. I need peer pressure. Can we check the 30-minute money flow on Bitcoin right now? Looks thick in the green. Yeah, so 30-minute money flow is, it's kind of wonky here, to be honest. Not that it doesn't make it thick in the green. It is thick in the green. Very wonky money flow wave there, to be quite honest. 24-minute. I would just be careful with this, right? Because, like I said, right, you don't always have to call like, oh my God, this is going to come up and then down, right? We can do that, right? But at the end of the day, right, like I am just simply waiting for the bigger levels. I would say like if I'm looking at this, 24-minute money flow, 15-minute money flow coming out, 24-minute money flow trending out, 30-minute kind of wonked out a bit. But, what am I going to look at here to try to identify, like, is this money flow going to cross into the red and come into a big red wave? Well, if I look at the 8-hour time frame, we do have an 8-hour red dot with a bearish divergence. And again, when I say market cipher B is chopped up, I mean it, right? You have the bearish divergence, you have the red dot, you have the 24-minute money flow coming out, 30-minute, chopped up, to be quite honest, right? Like I would assume if that 8-hour red dot is printing, how much time do we have left on this candle here? An hour and 51 minutes. So in the next hour and 51 minutes, if that 24-minute money flow starts crossing over into the red, I would think that's going to start dragging the 30-minute down. And then what do you have, right? You have a market cipher B 1/16 bearish setup. So yeah, I think, if that money flow was thick in the green and the green dot was confirmed on the 8-hour, that would look a little bit better in my opinion. This is also a bearish divergence, lower highs, higher highs into your key level. So yeah, and then you start looking at your local levels. I mean, you're stuck below the value area high. Can't break out of this, then you are still going to be potentially anticipating that bigger drop to the downside. But I personally don't care, right? I don't have a preference here. Like if we come up first, great. Long continues to play out. I could look for the short. If it comes down, well, great. I'm looking to add to that long position anyway. So I'm just sitting on my hands here, guys. Bitcoin just chopping around, right? It's like very, very choppy price action. Ever since back here, since pretty much the end of August, like just super, super chop fest. And I'm sure if you guys are out there trading that, you feel this. Doesn't mean you can't catch the nice little short positions down, next to nice little long positions up. But, 30-minute money flow definitely in the green. But I would be careful there with all this lower time frame money flow coming out and the fact that we're below this value area high. Got to reclaim like 111K, right? Like you got to get back above here and hold it decisively to continue up. And that just comes down to the volume profile theory, right? It's like, well, hey, can't get out of here. What do we look for? Well, POC, value area low. So that's kind of the bias I would have as of right now, unless we flip that $111,000 value area high. But again, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not looking to like long it here. I'm already in the long from the low. So yeah. Yo, shout out Golden Child says, your niece is only one. She's not even going to remember if you were there or not. You can stay and hang out. Just tell her you were there when she gets older. Yeah, I'll just shout out to Golden Child. Yes, that is true. I always wonder that, right? It's like, you got to go to the first birthday. And it's like, she's not even going to know I'm there. But no, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Market Maker, shout out to New Earth Guardian said, Market Maker, let me see you work it. Flip it, twist it, and reverse it. Twerks. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. Let's see. That's just because people gambled too much on the news. Shout out to Lorenzo. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. Maybe the dump to the downside is what you're talking about. But yeah, I mean, even taking a look at the liquidation heat maps here, guys. Right, I would say, I mean, at this point, at least looking at the 1 week time frame, right? Like we've taken out some of the liquidity up here, right? And this just goes to show you, right? Like liquidity does act as a magnet. You have the anchored VWAP up here. You have that liquidity. You sweep it. You take out the rest of it. You come back down. I would say, as of right now, like the next big areas of liquidity between 109 and 100. All the way, basically from 109 leading all the way down to about 106.1. And like, what does that mean, right? Well, if you have all that liquidity sitting there, right, below this low and below this low, you know, if you start cracking below these levels, right, again, losing your local 786 that we brought up in the beginning of the stream, right? Once you lose this, it's like, well, hey, yikes. You know, at that point, I'm looking to take out this low anyway, and the fact that we have liquidity down there, once you start cracking that level, right, you could potentially anticipate a big liquidation wick. And why does that happen? Well, all these long stop losses, once they get triggered, they're going to create market sells, giving you that big dump to the downside. So if you do crack this low, could see price action start getting moving pretty quickly to the downside based off those liquidations, and potentially even take out the liquidity below 107K, right? So it's like kind of like fuel down. And then if you don't hold support on that value area low, like you could just still have some more fuel for that big wick down. So that's kind of my thought process, right? You have the liquidity sitting there, you know, and again, if you can't flip that 111K zone, right, that move down locally would be more likely. If you flip it to support, right, if you are able to get above here, which, you know, with the 8-hour red dot, with the 10-hour red dot, with the 12 and the 16-hour red dots potentially incoming as well, I just don't know how likely it is to get up here and just start scooting to the upside. But again, I'm not making decisions off that. I'm just letting it play out. I'm trying to call what that more higher probability move is. But I would say about $111,000 is the big key level to flip to support. Get stuck under here. It's just like, right, you got liquidity. You got the volume profile sucking you down. It's just like, yeah, you got a lot of things pushing you down, plus all the red dots. So, yeah. And again, losing that 786 would be, right, again, this sits at, that's what we're bouncing off of, right? And if you are going to put in, shout out to New Earth Guardian, he's talking about higher lows, right? Like, there is an opportunity to put in the higher low here. But once you lose this, it's like, that's where I'd be looking to take out that low. And that does sit at about 110,154. So lose 110,154, probably coming down here. If you could flip 111K, maybe we have a better chance of moving to the upside again. And again, you still have this anchored VWAP sitting at about 113,441, and then daily MPOC starts at about 114.5, right? So just like major resistance up here, right? And again, it does technically drag all the way down to the anchored VWAP. So it's like you just got a lot of resistance to break through here. So I'm not getting out of bed here and, you know, feeling real good about Bitcoin until we can flip that value area low, right? So there we go. 4-hour trend line. 4-hour trend line low would be $90,000 on Monday. Shout out to Messy Jesse, not to be confused with Jesse the Like Police. 4-hour trend line. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what trend line, but I believe you. I believe you, brother. Let's see. And I will take a look at a couple of altcoins tonight, guys. I will call her back if XRP hits $10. Shout out to Orhan. I don't know who you're calling back, but hopefully, yeah. Let's see. We have a lot of Jessies. Yeah, shout out to New Earth Guardian. The Mafia is full of Jessies. But yeah, that's kind of my plan here, guys. Not really much has changed. Just kind of wiggling around here. Will we go up to the big level of resistance, or will we come down to the liquidity? Even talked about the plan if we lose this level, right? And if we break above this level. That's my full plan. I don't want to overcomplicate things. There's really not a ton to update here within the chop, right? We were able to call for that all-time high. We were able to call for that higher high based off the 4-hour yesterday. We got that, and now we have the 4-hour bearish divergence, which we also look for. Question is that going to be able to drag us down? I would say, listen, as long as this 4-hour money flow, like what we need for the continuation up to our bigger level of resistance up here would be 4-hour money flow staying in the green and a flip of that $111,000 level. But again, you're looking at the 8-hour, the 12-hour, the 16-hour. It's like those red dots, even the 10-hour red dot. I just don't know. Like, you're fighting against all that. Plus, the bearish divergence is confirmed, right? So it's like not impossible, especially if money flows in the green. But, I'm trying to call this early. 786. Looking for the move down. So there you go. Real quick check-in on Ethereum. Well, obviously, looking at this volume profile, what did we look at yesterday, guys? Well, it's like, hey, back inside the range, lose the value area high, front run the POC, can't get out of the range. Well, next target there is going to be the point of control. And then as our money flow is coming to the downside, we say, well, hey, we're within the volume profile. To fulfill the range would bring us where? Down to the value area low, which we got some kind of crazy wick here on Ethereum to tap what? The exact value area low we've been looking at. I am bullish on Ethereum, especially like over the long term, right? And the reason I keep my long-term bullish bias here, guys, is because of all the macroeconomic factors, right? RTY, rate cuts coming in, all this good stuff, right? We have all those long-term indicators indicating that the blow off top / whether Bitcoin makes a new all-time high or not is something we have to keep an eye on. But to see that final phase of the bull market come in, right? See that liquidity, the looser monetary policy, push liquidity into the altcoins, and see this final big move up, right? The exciting part of the bull market that everybody comes for, and that it is also very evident here on the Ethereum chart with the weekly money flow crossing into the green. We're pressing up against the highs, right? This red dot did indicate to us that we could see a little bit more of a pullback. And locally, we're just bing-bonging around this range, right? If we lose this value area low, sitting at about 41.36. We can come on in here to the bigger volume profile where we have the POC sitting at 4,084, and then the value area low at about $4,000, right? We also have a monthly MPOC at about 38.75. So I would actually go ahead and move this blue box down here, right? So, this is kind of still a valid range, right? You get stuck into the profile. POC is next. We got the bounce back out. Now we're back in this profile, right? So like the next target here would be the POC at about 4,084. And then if you lose that POC, just like on the lower time frame profile, it's like you lose the POC, you're looking down towards the value area low, right? We saw that play out perfectly. Get stuck under the POC at 4,080, down to the value area low monthly MPOC. This is a big level of support, right? Now, if we lose this, it's not going to make me freak out and say, oh my God, my whole sentiment changes on Ethereum at all, right? And this is longer term, right? This is not just from a trading standpoint, but like a long-term perspective, right? If we lose this value area low, well, we have that massive support sitting down here between about 36 and 35.30, value area high, and then that kind of, I guess you can call it a psychological level at 3,600. So this is going to be a huge level of support. This is much more important support, in my opinion, than this is. If we lose this, it's like it kind of stinks because you're going to get that bigger drop down. But this is really the level that you want to hold on top of. And to be quite honest, guys, this is still a healthy place to put in a higher low for the higher high. I've compared this to Bitcoin umpteen times, right? Same exact Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low. I'm going to cover this for like 5 seconds, right? 786, break above it. You play around. You go retest what level here? Well, it was literally the same exact value area high that we're looking at on Ethereum, right? You come back down, you retest that value area high. This is very similar to Ethereum potentially playing around with its 786, which sits right here in between the value area low and the monthly MP, or I'm sorry, the sitting right here at, I'll just pull it so I can get the exact level for you. I don't want to give you guys any just random numbers. Right, there's that 786. You can kind of play around with that a little bit, but if you lose it, it's not necessarily the end of the world, right? You could retest that exact same level, previous bull market value area high, right? Same exact thing on Bitcoin, previous value area high. Boop, back above the 786, and then it's off to the races, right? So this is something, this is kind of my outlook on Ethereum. I'm definitely bullish. The weekly money flows crossed over into the green, but it doesn't mean you can't see these bigger drops to the downside. This is where everybody calls bear market. Oh my God, Ethereum's never going back up, right? But from a structural standpoint, from a TA standpoint, this wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world. But you do have to get going there pretty quickly, right? I would hope that it plays out something like Bitcoin, where it is just kind of like a quick tap, and then you could kind of come back up and send it. So yeah, other than that, those are the local levels that I'm looking at on ETH. And yeah, all that remains the same, right? Like I said, not a bad time to do a short stream because there's not really a whole lot to update here, at least on Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'll take a look at Solana next in a second. Yo, shout out to New Earth Guardian said, you made it when your face is an emoji. Shout out to Daniel dropping those Frankie Candles emojis, bro. I hate that picture. I'm just like, but anyway, let's see. Can we have a look at Render? Yes, I'll try to take a look at Render. Shout out to Warthog Thunderbolt said, Frankie, did you just circle 50 grand on BTC? Yes, this was $50,000 at the macro value area high. So yeah, but not that it was relevant though. I'm just using this as an example of like, that was the major 786, the same 786 on Ethereum, right? That we've broken above. It slammed us down. It slammed us down. It slammed us down. We are now back above it, right? This is the doorway to higher prices and the doorway to new all-time highs, which technically we've already seen, right? We already got that all-time high. But I do think I am still bullish on Ethereum. I do still think we'll crack above these highs and, potentially see, upwards of $5,000 and then potentially into 57 or should say 58 to 6,500. Not that it has to happen from here though, right? I'm okay with these pullbacks. It would be a little sketchy, right? It's like, oh my God, now we're losing the 786, but it's not impossible to get those bigger bounces. That's why I bring up that example on Bitcoin at 50K, right? It's like, that 786 is your doorway to all-time highs. It's literally the same thing, right? What happened here, right? We break above the 786. This is your doorway to all-time highs. What happens? You barely squeak above that all-time high, right? Just barely. It's almost the exact same thing we saw Ethereum do, right? You approach that 786, and you barely squeak above that all-time high, right? And then, this is where Bitcoin retested the range high before going on the real run. And the reason I think higher lows and higher highs could still be in the cards here is obviously because of the weekly money flow crossing into the green. This is a very, very big bullish signal for the long-term trend. Not the ebbs and flows. Ebbs and flows can still happen, right? But the long-term trend could still continue to the upside. So there you go. Take a look at Solana. Let's see. So yeah, Solana's still just holding this golden pocket, chopping around, right? I'm just going to take this off the chart for now. I mean, we're holding the golden pocket, so chances of a higher high pushing into this golden pocket are still open. But at the end of the day, right, like just from a simple standpoint, I'll even hide some of the local levels, right? Just from, it's going to take patience here, right? We're just within our volume profile. We got above the low. That makes the next target the POC. We've tapped the POC. We're seeing resistance on the POC. All very normal, right? So as long as we're able to remain in this range, it's not until we lose the 786 value area low here at 183.74 that I'll be looking for a bit more of a drop down on Solana, right? As long as we stay within this range, the doorway to the POC remains open. And then just understand, if we flip this POC, sure, your target can be about $238, but you still have that macro golden pocket up here. So you could just get a lot of resistance up here at the POC. But as long as you remain within that profile, that's why I take everything off the chart to show like a simple idea of what's going on here, right? As long as we stay within this range, we're good, right? Once you break down below that 786 value area low, that's where I'm looking. We do have a lot of liquidity sitting down here in the 174.76 to 172.80 level. And then below that, the biggest level of support, in my opinion, is going to be that 786 value area high of the previous range. Now, my guess here is if you did have to lose this, at this point, you have this macro anchored VWAP pulled all the way here from the April lows. This is a massive anchored VWAP that you want to hold to maintain the long-term trend, right? So if we had to get these big drops down, if we came down right this second, it would be different. But depending on how long, if we are going to break down, right, depending on how long that takes, this anchored VWAP is probably going to move up, right? If we were to come down in like a directly straight line and this was confluent on the value area high at $167, this would be the biggest key level. But if it takes more time to get down there and this anchored VWAP is kind of wiggling its way up and we see that anchored VWAP come in on this liquidity, right? This is now this becomes the bigger key level of support. It doesn't invalidate this as support, but depending on where right now this anchored VWAP is confluent with the value area high 786. If it takes time to get down there, it's probably not going to be the case anymore. So honestly, this is very speculative, but like if we had to get a bigger drop down, this would not be an unlikely situation in my opinion. We have a lot of liquidity sitting down here at about $174,000 or below about $174,000. If you're looking for SFPs down there, you might wick into that 786 value area high and then close your high time frame candles above that level before getting back into your range and sending it back up through the profile. His profile's been very rough, right? We got in, it's like, hey, POC is the target. You lose it slightly, then you get back in and finally rotate to the POC. So this is, this profile has been a bit choppy. but still stands true, right? So that's what I'd be looking at on Solana. Daily money flow still in the green. Daily red dot is printing. Let's check that 90-minute money flow. Man, market side be super choppy right now. Look at this money flow. Green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green. It's like, ugh, yikes. Just so choppy and unreadable. And then taking a look at the higher time frames, weekly money flow still cooking to the upside, but red dot incoming, right? This is just like we looked for the pullback on Ethereum off that red dot. Doesn't change the longer term scenario based off money flow. But red dot incoming here. I mean, that just would not be unlikely to see a little bit more of a pullback there. But money flow continues up, right? The overall trend can still give you continuations up, right? So that's what I'll be looking at on Solana. Shout out to It's Happening. It's happening. Shout out to you, man. Says, you going to have any kids, Frankie or Franklin? Shout out to It's Happening. Yes, I do plan on having kids at some point. Absolutely. I got to pop out a little mini candelitos, little candelinis. Mrs. Candles is dying to have kids. Mrs. Candles is a big kid person, I guess, like as most women are. But yeah, shout out to It's Happening. Thank you for the super chat. Yes, I do plan on having kids. I would like to have at least 2 kids, if not maybe 3. Got to have them take over the I'm not going to stop Frankie Candles until I can raise my kid to take my spot. And I will name him Vinny. And the reason for that is so we can call him Vinny Volume Profiles. So there we go. I also like the name Vinny. Shout out to Dutchie said, Temu girls are cranky. Hey, come with borderline and sharp edges. Shout out to Dutchie. I'm not 100% sure exactly what that means. Shout out to the Temu girls out there. Anyway, let's continue on. New Earth Guardian says generational wealth. Let's go, baby. Generational wealth of knowledge. My kid's going to be like 5 years old going, Daddy, deviation below volume profile, SFP, both div, money flow come up on 30-minute, 8-hour green dot. Dad, there's a market type for B116 strategy. Buy. Long it. 100x long, Dad. What are you doing? Shout out to my future kid out there. He's going to watch these and be like, good Lord. Wow. That was my dad back in the day. Quick stream. Yeah, how much time? We still got some time here. But yeah, we took a look at Vinny Candles. Let's go. Shout out to Brillo. Are you planning on staying on YouTube throughout the bear market and the next bull market? Shout out to Carl. Absolutely, bro. I've talked about this before, right? Like when the bear market comes, guys, I've been running like just I've been basically like speed running life pretty much. I have not really taken a vacation since I've started this channel. I go on trips like my niece's birthday. Like every past time I've traveled has been for like some event. I have not taken any kind of genuine time off in the past like 4 years. So when the bear market comes, I probably will take some time off, right? So I'll maybe like, I'm not going to leave YouTube, but I'll just be like, hey guys, I'm going to go away. I'm going to go on a vacation with Mrs. Candles and make up for that a little bit. But yeah, now that'll just be like, hey guys, no live streams. I'll probably make some pre-recorded content for you guys to watch while I'm gone. And then, we'll be back, right? We got to short this bear market as well. So we'll be trading throughout the entire bear market. And if you are scared, guys, that the all-time high is in on Bitcoin and we're going into a bear market, there is no better time to learn how to trade, right? Because just like we make money on the way up, you can make money on the way down. You guys want to see a scary fractal? I'll show you a scary fractal. And it is kind of horrifyingly lines up with a lot of stuff, right? So this is not my base case, right? But just to kind of show this, right? I talk a lot about what I'll be looking for if we lose that macro 786, massive sign of weakness on Bitcoin, right? If we wind up losing this, getting the bigger drop down, right? We talk about how on that retracement, if we have money flow coming out on that retracement, could be a situation where we put in a lower high on the higher time frames with high time frame money flow coming out, which could indicate much more high probability that the all-time high is in on Bitcoin if that plays out, right? And we see that money flow coming out on the retracement. But just to kind of pull this, right? It's very similar, right? I talk about this yesterday and almost every live stream in the past few weeks, right? This big drop down on Bitcoin, right? This retracement with weekly money flow coming to the downside was a big indication that the bear market was coming. Everybody hated me for saying that, right? But we wound up being correct. If this plays out similar, right? Like if we are in the situation where the top is in on Bitcoin, again, not my base case, right? I'm bullish on Bitcoin at this point, right? Until we lose that 786, get the bigger drop down, that's where things change. But if you got to pull this fractal here, guys, this is like similar to how you can see that potentially play out, right? And this is literally pulled from 2021. You can see how clean and like accurate this is, right? You get the bounce, you get the bull divs, the bounce, the retracement, the all-time high. That was the top, right? This could be very, very similar. And again, this is not my base case. Just because this looks like 2021 does not mean it's the top. But this kind of shows you like how I would expect that to play out, right? You have the bounce, the bull divs, up, retracement, new all-time high, right? You have the bear divs at the all-time high. You come down, you come into the, lose that 786, bounce off the POC, right? But if that money flow is coming out, what are we going to be looking for? Lower highs, lower lows, targeting the value area low. And then below here, you could see these bounces, right? Even at like 85K, we have a lot of support down here. Right, just pull up the daily MPOCs. Ton of support down here. Right, and I'm not saying it has to play out like this, and just because the fractal's touching these levels, it has to play like that. But this is kind of how I would potentially be looking at that. If we get the drop down, we lose that 786, bounce off the POC. Sure, we can look for longs, but if that money flow is cruising to the downside on the weekly, I have to be looking for lower highs and lower lows. And then even if you get a big bounce here at 84K, big retracement up, right? Lower highs and lower lows. And you just kind of see his, like, right to the POC, reject off the value area high, acceptance in, back to the value area low, deviate below, back into the POC, bing bong around, push up, lower highs. Even if you pull the fibs here, I would not be surprised if this actually lines up, right? And let me just hide some of this stuff, right? Right, like, if we come down here and just lose this, right, you pull your fib from the high to the low. Like, where's that retracement coming into? A major Fibonacci retracement, right? So it's like on this retracement to the upside, if you get it, right, we're going to be saying to ourselves, well, hey, here's a very important Fibonacci retracement. And then on this retracement, if your weekly money flow is cooking to the downside, it's going to look very, very, very similar to the beginning of the bear market in 2021. So this is where I would say, this is why losing these key levels of support up here are so important, right? Because, like, sure, you can get the bounce back up, but on that retracement, if money flow is coming out, I have to say, especially on the weekly, this is a macro lower high for maybe a much bigger drop to the downside. And again, I don't try to, like, predict moves based off fractals, but just to kind of, like, show you guys better than just, like, drawings on the chart, like what that could potentially look like. And you can see, right, it's not just like instant drop into a bear market, right? It's very choppy. Oh my God, bullish. Oh my God, bearish. Oh my God, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, right? But the overall context here, looking at that high time frame money flow, will really help us identify if we're going to get that lower high for the massive bear market to come in. But until we break below our major key levels of support that we have on the chart right now, the 786, the golden pocket, right? Until we start losing these, we don't have to worry about it, right? But if you break down there, it's like, oh man, oh God, right? That's why I say we really got to get going here. Once you break down, because there's so much time that would pass here if we lose this, right? This gives plenty of time for that weekly money flow to wiggle to the downside. Now, does that guarantee the bear market? If you come up and money flow is coming out, does it guarantee the bear market's coming in? I would have to call for it, right? But, unless you see some kind of crazy fake out on your weekly money flow, it's, we really got to get started here, guys. Like, major support, and we're kind of running out of time. But I will keep my long-term bullish sentiment until we wind up seeing that situation play out. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob said, Frankie, 15 minutes. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you for keeping me on time here. And, dude, it's literally, it's 16 minutes on my timer here. So we are in sync. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob, and shout out to the boy band. That's in sync, guys. But anyway, let's see. Okay, I sold it all, Frankie. See you guys. I'm going to McDonald's. Shout out to Base Bailey. Try to get into the location with me and Panda the Prophet. We work at the same location now. How funny would it be if you guys find out I just do these live streams and I work at McDonald's all day? Anyway, let's see. 504 days since the halving almost. Yeah, shout out to Panda Prophet. We pull up this chart constantly. Still some time, right? We still have some time, but and again, right? It doesn't mean that if we're wiggling around here and we hit this level here, it's like, oh my God, that's it, bear market, right? Like, you could see this. Would never expect this to play out to the day. As you can see, they never really have played out to the day. They're all different. But 525 days from the halving, right? 441 days from the halving, 365 days from the halving. This is not 365 days though. It should be right here, right? 364 days, right? So, like, we've seen. This is typically, right, we're getting to, like, the late stages here, right? And then we have that 1-to-1 fib here at about October 20th, right? So still time, right? And again, I would say there's more macro bullish indicators than there are bearish, right? Whether that's alts rallying on the retracement, and we see the alt season come in on a retracement on Bitcoin, or if we hold here and go into a parabola, and then the alts rally into that. I would argue, right, like, blow off top. This was the only cycle that we didn't really see the blow off top, right? If it played out more something like this, where you, like, blow off and then you come into the bear market, this was more of like a double top. But every other time has been a blow off top, right? So it's kind of hard. I technically, from a statistics standpoint, right, you would say the blow off top is more likely, just, studying the history. But it doesn't mean it has to come in. But, you know, if we saw something like this, it would make a lot of sense, right, in my opinion, right? You're at that stage of the bull market, right? Boom. And then it's all over, right? Not all over, right? You just go into another bear market to just reload up and do it again, right? That's where you can start buying the bear market, buying the bear market, buying the bear market, buying the bear market. So, yeah, that's just my overall thought process. But let's take a quick look at Solana here, guys, because I am running out of time. Oh, no, we already took a look at Solana. Render. Somebody asked for Render. Let's take a quick look at Render. All right, let's see here. Finally. All right, yeah, we're back at the golden pocket. All right, so let's take a look here. Actually, let me pull up the daily, get an overall viewpoint of what we're looking at. So you got the please mommy hold me level down here at the 786. This is the level you don't want to lose. You lose the 786, yikes. I mean, at that point, I'm looking to take out this low at 262. But as of right now, you know, we held that golden pocket. You have your low, your high, your potential higher low for a potential higher high. I don't typically anticipate these to hold up very well on a second attempt, a third attempt. Usually it's that first low, high, higher low, higher high, right? Just look at what happened on Bitcoin recently, just on the lower time frames, right? You have the low, the high, the higher low, the higher high. It's not, you know, once you start tapping these levels for a second, third, fourth time in a row, I don't anticipate them to hold up very well. So when you look at Render, it's like we're tapping this golden pocket. You know, it's not as saucy as if you're coming into it for the first time. So I wouldn't really be surprised if we lose that golden pocket. If you do, you're not totally screwed just yet. I don't want to say screwed just because, like, you know, you just look for a bigger push down. But if we lose that golden pocket, like 786 is really the level that you want to hold, right? Because if you lose that 786, at that point, can't get back above that. I'm looking to take out this low. All right, so can't get back above that 786. Well, the low, the high, and the higher low is invalidated, and at that point, I'd look to break structure to the downside here below this low, and then we do have a lot of wicks down here. There's probably a lot of liquidity sitting down here, so if you start cracking down, could get a little bit of a liquidation wick into that value area high at 224. So overall, though, you know, you're at support, but I mean, this has already been hit once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. I mean, this has been hit so many times. I'd be focusing on this level. And not possible to bounce here, but I just never anticipate those to hold up very well. And then you start taking a look at your money flow, right? Let's take a look at the 4-hour. 4-hour money flow. Yeah, it's just, I mean, look at this. It was coming up. Now it's coming back out. Red dot looking to print. It's just like, yeah, market cipher just kind of chopped up here. I mean, this choppy price action, like there's not a ton going on here. Right? It's just like, so choppy. I hate this price action. It's just like terrible for the channel, right? Just because like it's not like huge, big updates. It's just like, all right, guys, we're here. All right, guys, we're back here. All right, guys, we're back here. All right, guys, we're back here. It's like there's just nothing to update. But I would say still the biggest key level to look at is sitting at $3.03. Lose that. I'm probably looking down towards about, you know, 260, 250, and then big support, right? I wouldn't even say these are big supports. These are just lows that we could take out. I would say the next support level, if you lose the $3.03 zone, is going to be sitting at about 221 at your macro value area high. Is that super, super bad? Well, let's pull, you know, these are all local levels. Let's pull our higher time frame levels here. Let's pull from this impulse to the high. And we're losing that, 786. Let's pull our full fib here. Entire move up all the way back from 2022. This is macro. Yeah. And notice the please hold me mommy zone. It's probably, I would assume he might have deleted it. I'd probably assume why that blue box comes up here. Macro 786. You do not, and you could break it, right? We've broken it before, gotten back above, broken it, got back above, broken it, got back above. You don't want to close multiple weekly candles down here. Like, you really don't. You really want to see, you know, we have closed them, but you really don't want to play with this zone, right? Because once you lose this macro 786, I mean, that potentially invalidates your idea. Like, you really got to hold the zone. I don't really know how else to say it, to be honest. Like, I honestly wouldn't even really want, we lose this, mommy, hold me, right? Because you want your low, your high, your higher low for massive higher highs into new all-time highs. Like, this is the zone to hold, right? And we are definitely playing around with it. But take a look at the 3-day here. 3-day money flow. Still technically trending to the upside. VWAP coming up, looking for the green dot. Yeah, I mean, these 3-day money flow crossovers on all the altcoins, right? Cardano, I always bring up Cardano, or actually I'll just bring up Ethereum, right? Ethereum's 3-day money flow crossover, like early indication, right? Or early-ish indication that the trend will continue up. At that point, right, you're looking for lackluster retracements for higher lows and higher highs. And obviously with ETH being the first mover, right? We also have other first movers as well, but Ethereum being the mother of all altcoins, right? Like, all these other alts are just kind of lagging behind with those 3-day money flow crossovers, right? So that 3-day money flow crossover would be very nice to see for an overall continuation to the upside. But once you start losing this zone here, definitely gets a little bit sketchy. So there you go. That's what I'm looking at on Render. 9 minutes. 9 minutes left, guys. 9 minutes left. Shout out to Newbie Noob says BTC tops maybe getting less parabolic 2014 to 2018. We did almost a 20x. Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that too. It kind of makes sense, right? Obviously the asset will change over time. We've seen not even percentage gain wise, but obviously like this move was much bigger percentage wise than this move, right? And then this move, it just gets a logarithmic regression. Logarithmic regression will come into play there. So it just kind of gets less explosive and less to the upside and the downside as time goes on. So yes, absolutely plausible. Shout out to Newbie Noob. XRP. Let's take a quick look at XRP. Speed run on the XRP chart here. Let's get it. All right, XRP again. Playing around with this golden pocket. And just like I looked at on Render, right, that's the this first tap of that golden pocket is where you would hope that higher high would come in, right? We've talked about this. We came back down, got a little support, but again, it's just not a level where, more times you tap on this door, the more likely it is to open, right? I'm not saying you can't get support on this level, but if you're looking for the higher low and the higher high, you want it to happen, in my opinion, on that first tap. And you can see every tap gets less and less bouncy, right? And then it's like break below it, still targeting 250 to 260 if this doesn't hold. And I just wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't hold for the reasons I just explained, right? So yeah, take a look at the 4-hour real quick, and I'll pull up the cleaner chart that we have here. Yeah, I mean, we swept. This is a nice little sweep of these lows, right? We look for the liquidity to get swept here and then swept here. And like we are coming up off of that on bullish divergences, which is not the worst look in the world. You're below your value area. Bullish divergences, you swept out the liquidity. I would say kind of similar to Bitcoin, right? This value area low zone is going to be huge. Let me pull the anchored VWAP as well from the high here. It's already pulled. Let me pull it from this high. Yeah, like this zone here between, I'd say, 291 and 303, like massively, massively big resistance. It's not until we flip that and, honestly, flip this POC that I'd be looking for a much bigger move up. So if you're going to hold that golden pocket for like the 30th time in a row and still put in a higher high, I wouldn't feel good about that until you got above this level. So you just have so much work to do here. So, yeah, I mean, the context here is like if that golden pocket don't hold, looking down towards 250 to 260. And then we'll reassess the situation. We have other key levels down here, but until we get down here and lose it, there's no reason to look at them, right? We can still see a situation where it's initial breakout, range retest, and then get the bigger move up. So, yeah, I mean, this would just be, imagine the cycle ends and it's like XRP, because it wouldn't be surprising for XRP. It's like XRP finally put in an all-time high, barely above the previous all-time high, right? There you go, XRP. We got a 10% rip above the all-time high. That would be so brutal, right? But again, until we start losing like a lot of these bigger levels down here, I would not be worried about that just yet. So if we lose this, it's not super, super bad. Initially, before we had any of this price action, guys, what were we looking at on the channel? It's like, hey, guys, next target, if we break out of this range, is going to be sitting between 331 and 352. We had the bearish divergences up here. We talked about that. We had money flow coming out on the 4-hour specifically, right? You have your high, higher high, high, lower high, bearish divergence. Wouldn't be impossible to get the initial breakout of your range and then go and retest the scene of the crime before seeing that bigger move up. But it's just been a brutal journey, right? It's just been like absolutely chop fest. So, yeah, it's still just the initial longer-term kind of situation that I was looking for, still on the table. And, yeah, like if you don't put the higher high in here, I don't ever really expect those golden pockets to hold up too well on a second or third time around, fourth time around, fifth time around, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's just like 8, right? Like this is just, the more you tap this, the weaker it gets, in my opinion, right? You can think about it as like a piece of glass, right? If you punch the glass once, maybe it holds up. You punch it twice, maybe it cracks. You punch it 3 times, it starts chipping. 4 times, starts to shatter. 5 times, really starts to turn white. And then, 5th, 6th time, right, you're going to blow right through that glass. So yeah, that's what I would look at. But again, nothing really too out of the ordinary here, in my opinion, to retest that range high. Still not really a huge sign of weakness until we start losing this, and then we still have like last ditch efforts at about 230 before things really start to turn much more bearish. So there we go. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Stop, says 5 minutes, baby, 6:44. Let's see. How do I think dominance can go this month? We should take a look at this, right? And again, like, this is another big reason, guys. We cover this every day, right? Another big reason why, dominance breaking down, RTY breaking out, rate cuts coming down the line. Like, the environment is here for an alt season to come in. So I would just say, like, trend looks weak, high time frame. Excuse me. Right? Weekly green dot looking to print. Well, guess what that could do? That could give you a push up on dominance, right? But it's not just, oh my God, dominance is pumping, alts are going to zero, right? Like, it could just be noise for lower highs and lower lows. And that's what I would expect here based off the high time frame money flow. 2-day money flow crossing into the red, 3-day money flow crossing into the red, or looking to cross over into the red. Even your 4-day money flow is generally trending down here, right? It's going to take a little more time to develop. But this is going to take a long time to play out, right? Like, it might take a week or two to see a little bounce up here. Might take, multiple weeks to see this money flow come out. But it's all headed in the right direction, right? It's the same exact thing that we saw back here. Daily money flow crosses over into the red. I just deleted those lines. But talked about this yesterday, right? You had the daily money flow crosses over. You still had turbulence to the upside. 2-day money flow crosses over on this line, still had turbulence to the upside, and then eventually that 3-day money flow crosses over, and it gets that big drop to the downside. We have now all of that happening. Daily money flow was the early indication here, all the way up here, where we were saying, hey, rejected the 786. We lose this POC. Money flow coming out. Could be the first big drop we see. At that point, any bounces on dominance are lower highs and lower lows. Lower highs, lower lows. Lower highs, lower lows. So, and even if you have to break these local highs, you could still put in lower highs and lower lows on a higher time frame. And money flow is pointing towards that. Daily money flow in the red. 2-day money flow, fresh crossover into the red. 3-day money flow tanking down here. So from a trend perspective, this still looks good to support a potential alt season coming in, not to mention all the other things that we look at. Could this change? Yes. But as of right now, my sentiment remains exactly the same on Bitcoin dominance. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Andrew, says, what happens in 5 minutes? What happens at 2 p.m. on Tuesday? Let's see. Shout out to JP Yo, said entered a chain link long out off an SFP. Hey, shout out to JP Yo. Let me know. Is it in profit, bro? Let me know. Those SFPs are typically very saucy. Let's see. XRP has bulletproof glass. Yeah, shout out to Clifton. Apparently that golden pocket is bulletproof. Yeah, shout out to, I don't know how to say that name. He says, why alt season folks can't afford groceries? Well, hey, we have looser monetary policy now very likely coming down the line, right, which will help with that, right? And that's kind of why, you have to see that pain to get the looser monetary policy to stimulate the economy, and then that's what causes the alt season, right? So correct. I agree with you. But that's exactly kind of like what you need to see to play out, right? And the rate cuts doesn't have to be an instant, oh my God, we're cutting rates, and then boom, you just go to the moon. I would argue, right, on rate cuts, unless we see something like they surprise us and they cut more than they anticipated, then maybe that winds up being like a bullish news event. But if they don't, right, it could just be like a sell the news event. It might be priced into the market. And to be and also real quick, guys, I wanted to do this, right? Because yesterday someone was bringing up the fact that they were like bringing up the halvings, the fact that like, Bitcoin's super fundamentally bullish, right? More bullish than ever. Institutions are involved. This is this time going to be different, right? And I talked about how, I never pay attention to those narratives, right? Like, because the market moves, crypto moves with the traditional markets. And I was talking about how it's not my opinion, right? It's just the fact of the matter. And just to show that, right? Like, I'm never just going to come in here and give like my pointless opinion, right? It's always going to be based off information. So if we take a look at the SPY, right? So if we pull up the SPY over Bitcoin here, let me go ahead and pin this to a different scale. Right, so if we look at this, you could just see, right? Like this is not my opinion, right? This is just simply, come on. Right, this is just simply how it works. I could try to line these up like correctly. This is just how the market moves, right? It follows the traditional markets, right? When the SPY is in a bull market, Bitcoin is in a bull market, right? Or the stock market, right? And they're not perfectly lined up here, but you could just see, right? We top out on Bitcoin, right? We top out. Actually, this ran a little bit. Oh, no, the alarm is going off here, guys. So I'm just going to have to do this very sloppily. But you can just see, right? Bitcoin tops out. SPY continues to run, right? But they both basically top at the same time, right? As the SPY goes into a bear market, guess what follows Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin was more fundamentally bullish up here than ever as well, right? But it doesn't matter, right? Because Bitcoin's just going to follow the traditional markets. It's going to be the same thing. If it's just always going to be the same thing, right? So just to kind of show that, right? This is not my opinion. This is just the fact of the matter. And you could pull this up on your own charts, right? Like the SPY or Bitcoin follows the traditional markets, right? Oh my God, big collapse in March and April. Like what was happening on the SPY, right? Then this bounces. What happens to Bitcoin? It bounces, right? This is just the fact of the matter. So just keep that in mind, right? This is why I say, like, you know, if we go into a new parabolic top, right, everyone's going to say this time is different. Institutions are involved, which is very true. Will that change the price action and the behavior on Bitcoin? I think it will over time. But, you know, if we see a bear market on traditional markets, like the idea that Bitcoin's just not going to follow that based off the halving would just be, it would not be expected. It's been the case every single bull market. It's just never deviated from anything else, right? It just follows traditional markets. So, anyone telling you that like the halving totally steps on the fact that like Bitcoin's going to follow the stock market, they just haven't looked at that, right? It's like just never been the case. So like, why would we expect that to just change? And you might say, well, institutions are involved. Things are different. It was the same thing back here, right? Like it's just always going to be the case. And I think it will change it over time, but I will be anticipating another bear market to come in. If we go into a parabolic top, people are going to say this time's different. It's never going back down. I will never buy into that. 1,000 out of 1,000 times, I will never buy into that. I know how these markets move. And if I see the signs, I'm going to be calling for a new bear market on Bitcoin. And I'm not going to lie. It's very likely to play out, right? Until we see it change, right? Then we can take that information into account. But until then, right, it's just probably going to follow traditional markets. So there you go. Right? Although recently, right, like even recently, it's like it kind of hasn't been tied recently because the stock market was doing well while Bitcoin was dumping. But it's like lower time frame stuff. Overall, it's going to traditionally and generally follow the same trend. So there we go. Can you tattoo a hickey? Shout out to Eugene Sky. I mean, I guess so. You just do a bunch of like red and purple dots. I don't know if that was the actual. I don't know if that's actually what you're talking about. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Crypto Independent said, congrats on 80K organic followers. Shout out to Crypto Independent. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, bro. I appreciate you so much. We hit 80K. Crazy. And yeah, I will never just like, I don't know how people, like, there's no point in buying followers, right? Like, I mean, once you get past a certain point, right, it's like social proof, right? But yeah, it just like doesn't do anything. It's really bad for analytics. It's actually bad for the YouTube algorithm. And it doesn't do anything, right? Like if it says you're streaming to 3,000 people, right? And only 1.5 thousand of them are real or 500 of them are real, like you're still just only streaming to the same amount of people, right? Like it's just like a vanity metric. It doesn't matter. It's like revenue versus profit, right? Someone could say, I make $1 million a month. If you only make 10% of that, you don't make $1 million a month. It's a vanity metric, right? You make 10% of that, right? You make it's but yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, only organic over here. We keep it 100% real with you guys. Let's see. Shout out to NB. Said, this stream sucks. I've requested Doge several times. Not even once did he look at Doge. Guys, sorry. NB, I forgot we went live for you. There's not hundreds and hundreds of other people in the stream. Unbelievable. What a terrible stream. Shout out to NB. Anyway, let's take a look at Whiff. No, I'm kidding. Let's see. Michael S. says 100% no chance he was stopping the show on the alarm. But yeah, guys, I'm canceling my niece's first birthday for NB. He has to see Doge. Sorry, NB, it's your world. We're just living in it. But with all that being said, shout out to NB. We appreciate you for being here, bro. Shout out to French Toaster, Rob the Crypto Stop. Thank you for keeping me on time, brother. Thank you for keeping me on time. Once ETH crosses 5K, it will be Pluto next. Shout out to Don Crypt. He just put a UFO emoji. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. Sorry for the short stream. Otherwise, we would go into altcoin requests, and we would make sure we got MB's request. Sorry. But anyway, I'm just kidding, guys. With all that being said, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us here on a beautiful Friday evening. And guys, Low key, next Friday, we got a triple giveaway to do because last Friday I was traveling as well. I have like a crazy month. But we will do a triple giveaway on Friday. We'll just stack the giveaways and we'll give away 3x what we normally give away on Friday. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and I will see you. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday, same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out,